take a moment to let yourself settle in, to find your sits bones, to be up high enough that you can feel your lumbar curve. Take a couple steady, deep breaths. Begin to close your eyes. Begin to listen to the breath moving through the body, inhaling and exhaling. And as you're ready, gently move the heels of your hands to your outer ribs. And continue your breath so that you start to feel how the ribs move like bellows. I think everybody in here is old enough to remember maybe a fireplace that had one of those beautiful big bellows that you would use to help stoke or bring oxygen to the fire. We want the ribs to move just like that, but instead of just two-dimensionally, the ribs move multi-dimensionally, which means there's a movement front and a movement back. And you could even say there's diagonal expansion. So not just the left and the right expansion, but this circumferential expanding. So see if you can just feel into that breath. And I want you to begin to measure it with a 4-count inhale and a 4-count exhale. So we inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a little pause there, almost like when you swing at the end of the swing, and then exhale for 3, 2, 1. And at the other end of the swing, there's a little pause, suspension, then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, little suspension, and exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. On your own for a few more. And as you continue to breathe like this, just notice if one part of your ribs is easier to inflate than the other, and see if you can shift that a bit. This is a great breath practice that we're going to be moving into. This is prep for a great breath practice that has been studied to be better than medication, better than meditation for post-traumatic stress disorder. So I'm going to have you release your hands on the next exhale back to your lap. And now we'll add on to that. So we're going to breathe in through the nose for 4 counts. There's that suspension, and then we hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Suspension, inhaling for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Suspend and hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue for 4. For 7 to hold. And 8, release. Letting go of that breath and any tension along with it, releasing yourself into the present. Here we go again on your own. Continue as you are. Let your drishti, let your gaze rest on the 3rd eye point. but let your eyes be heavy towards the back of the body. So though they're staring at that point, there's not a sense of them poking into the front of the skull. So as we rest on that third eye point and they come back a little bit, it signals to the body that all is well. And you're not moving into fight or flight. And as you continue to breathe and your hip bones get heavy on the mat, there's another signal there. As the thigh bones drop back into the back of the hip sockets, we move towards the parasympathetic nervous system set point, which is we also call stay and play or rest and digest. It's the place we want to cultivate in our bodies as a balance to the other, which is fight or flight. Let's do 2 more rounds here. And please really recruit your breath. Really utilize your breath in such a way that you're really getting as much oxygen as you need on that 4 counts. You can get to be as greedy as you need to be for oxygen in your pranayama practice. And as you're ready with that finishing that second round, the arms float up to the side and you turn your palms towards the sky, feeling that rotation come in at the shoulder head, and then not the fingers, but the shoulder heads pull back, and so does the sides of the neck. And you feel that throat moving over heart center. Maybe you need to pull those front ribs in a little bit, and heart center moving over to belly center. So you're learning to stack all 3 points, one over the other. From here, we sweep the arms overhead. We'll be here for a number of breaths. You're just breathing deeply, inhaling. And I want you to release your hands down, take all the tension out of your hands, and begin to stretch from those grounded hips up through the side of the body. So you don't take it all in the hands, but you start to feel the lengthening happening between the hips and the ribs, between the ribs and the armpits, between the armpits and the elbows, between the elbows and the wrists. And then from there, you can stack on your soft extended fingers. Last breath. Exhale, release your hands down the center of the line of the body to prayer pose, and take a moment to set an intention for your practice today, something you'd love to feel more of. And then we offer that with a bow. We inhale to rise back up to sitting, sealing that with an Om together. Taking a moment just to feel the results of that meditative, mindful practice of bringing our mind into awareness of body, mind, and spirit. You're going to gently release your hands, blink, open your eyes, place the heels of your hands right where the thigh bones meet the torso. You're going to just rest those hands there. So it's not like a super big push. It's more of a rest, but there's some weight there. And then you gently draw your thigh bones towards your heels. So you're rotating your thigh bones inwardly. Now you're going to take your awareness and place it on the outside edge of your feet. So if you need to, you might want to rock your feet or walk your feet forward a little bit so you feel more of the outside edge. And if you don't feel the whole thing, that's okay. But I just want you to bring your awareness there and breathe. And then I want you to imagine that you could bring your feet apart from one another. So So it's like you're trying to open them up on the mat and then start to feel the knife edge of the foot. You're going to especially feel it in the front foot. And just start to imprint that a little bit. It's a little bit like a karate chop, like that knife edge of that front foot. And as you pull your legs apart, you might feel the opposite action of drawing the inner thighs more awake. And then release that and switch your legs. So you get the other leg in front and you feel more of that knife edge of that front foot. And again, you karate chop the feet down and you try to pull them isometrically apart. And that tends to bring a little more awareness towards the midline of the body. You just get that little awakening. Last breath, feel that knife edge of that front foot. And then gently release. We've just woken up our legs a little bit. Come off the block, but bring it up to standing with you. You're going to bring that block up between your thighs. And I'll stand to the side so that you can see and remember that you don't squeeze the block forward and lock out the knees. You'll notice that the shoulders have to drop back and I get a little bit of a sway back that's unsupported. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze that block as I soften my knees and pull that block behind me. We always joke that we're like a giant Pez dispenser and we're trying to dispense that Pez backwards. Then take your body mind onto your feet and notice if you've put all the weight in your heels. If you have, keep squeezing that block but rock forward a little bit, getting to know how the weight is pretty evenly placed front to back, left and right. And then from there, go ahead and fly your arms up overhead. Grab your right wrist with your left hand and begin to pour yourself over to the left. And you're going to, again, soften those knees and squeeze that block backwardly. See if you can bring your abdominals into the front ribs. Come on back. And now bend the top arm and extend through that elbow. You really get that stretch into the latissimus dorsi, those guys right around the ribs. That's the last breath here. We're going to root down with both strong legs and come all the way up to center. And then exhale, release your hands and give a big roll with hands on the shoulders. Just a couple. Just go around, get into those shoulder joints. We'll do second side. So here we go, flying arms up overhead. Grab that left wrist with your right hand and start to pour over to the right. Soften the knees, squeeze the block backwardly, bring in the abdominals, then bend the top arm. And you're going to drive with that elbow to see if you can get a little more opening into the upper lats. Last breath. And then root down to come on up. And exhale, release the hands. We'll bring hands to the shoulders and roll around. Beautiful. Then you're going to find your other block. We'll get right into those outer hips. So bring two blocks in front of you or a chair or a wall. You'll bring your right ankle over your left knee. You're going to remember that block now. So that block is super important here because even though we're doing a hip stretch, when we do hip stretches, our minds go to these outer hips and kind of pull away from the midline. So you have to draw into the hips and then into your center, bringing your awareness right into those inner thighs. See if you can pull that imaginary block backwards and see if you can bend your standing leg a little bit more. And then sometimes I'll just do a bend and a straighten of the standing leg, little massage. Keep breathing, inhaling and exhaling. We're going to finish up into the bend. We're going to squeeze our hands and our awareness right to those inner thighs and see if we can keep that there as we drive the hands up into modified tree. Good. And then from there, find your drishti. Find your gaze. See if you cannot fidget, but just find that steady gaze. Find that steady center line. One more breath. And release. Beautiful. Take a cleansing breath. Here we go, second side. So finding your blocks, your chair, your wall, bring your left ankle over the right. And then let your awareness come from the legs, from the feet, all the way up to center and all the way to the midline, where that block would be, and you squeeze as if to pull the block back. You might notice that you get a little more action there in your outer hip. Hooray, hooray. Go ahead and bend the knee and straighten it, but keep that squeezing action as if it could drive this work. A lot of times when we stretch our hips, we forget that the hips need a little bit of inward rotation, so you get that lumbar curve and a lot of internal squeeze. Okay, we're going to finish with the knees bent. We're going to bring the hands to prayer in the center, so we have the sense of that center line. As the thighs squeeze together, we come up through center in modified tree. Place your gaze at something steady. Feel the standing foot on the floor and get really still. Listen to your breath. Beautiful, and release. Go ahead and take a big sweep with the arms all the way over. Let's do one stretch for the arms. So you can take your feet, a little wider than hip distance apart. Bring your hands out to the side like a big T, and then bring your right elbow over your left and double wrap. We'll bring the elbows up and the hands away from us. Now it's really important that the chin doesn't try to jut out to the arms. So you're going to restack that neck over your heart space. And then you inhale, lift the elbows. As you exhale, the elbows come to your sternum, so pretty high. So you get this rounding just in the upper back. And then you inhale, bring them up. And exhale this time to belly button, knees can bend, and you curl more towards the mid back. And then you press up to standing, elbows lift, and you exhale to to almost a pubic bone. So you just curl right around deep knee bend, and then press, come up to standing, let the arms raise up overhead and out and around. Beautiful. Let's try second side. So inhaling out in your T. Legs easy does it, a distance apart. Exhale, left arm over right, double wrap, making sure that the chin isn't jutting into the arms, it's staying in its alignment. We inhale and lift the elbows a little bit, get that stretch of the shoulders. Exhale, touch the sternum with the elbows and just get that upper back to round and stretch. Inhale, come up. Exhale to belly button or lower ribs. Inhale, press yourself to standing. Exhale, come all the way like to pubic bone touching, curling, rounding here, and then press to standing and sweep your arms all the way around. I'm going to bring my blocks to the front of the mat as we get ready for Surya, sun, namaskar, salutation. Take your hands in prayer, find your feet sitting bone distance apart. See if you can take a moment to fidget to find your center, and then once you find it, then get super still and just appreciate the breath. We'll breathe in again. Let's go for 4 counts in and about 4 counts out, and 4 counts in and 4 counts down to Uttanasana. We'll stay there for 4 counts in and release it for 4 counts out. Then we inhale for 4 counts, take all 4 to Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale 4 counts down. We're in no rush to get there. 2 more times just like that. Inhale slowly, 1, 2, 3 to Ardha, and exhale 4, 3, 2, 1 for Uttanasana. Back to Ardha for 4, 3, 2, 1. Little suspension and exhale 4 to Uttanasana. 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1 to Ardha. Bend your knees and take your right leg back to a lunge, dropping that back knee to the floor. And just take a moment to do that same 4 count breath. And you just notice as you're breathing through the nose that maybe you shorten that breath normally, and that this counting and slowing into 4 counts really makes you take a deeper inhale. Okay, at the end of the last 4 counts, exhale. Let your right hand rest on the floor. Inhale for 4, 3, the left arm open to the sky, and then pause there and just work to stack your left shoulder over your right shoulder. And let that be your 4 counts in, your 4 counts out, and you're just playing here, stacking, seeing what happens over time as we play with the alignment. Have your feet pressing down and your hips lifting up. Last breath, noticing how the body slowly unravels over time. Exhale, release that hand down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Rock it forward and back, and we'll get to the Uttanasana at the end of the 4th count. 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, bend the knees, step it back. 2, 1. And here, just enjoy your breath. 1 and 1. One more round, inhaling and exhaling. As you finish that exhale, left hand plants down, right arm opens for 4 counts. When you get there, stay there. You're going to try to stack your right shoulder over your left, and you'll just breathe those 4 counts in, 4 counts out, seeing what happens over time. Make sure the feet are pushing down gently so the hips uplift. Last one. Beautiful. Release that hand down for 4 counts. And then step the right foot back to meet the left for plank. And here, the hands are nice and wide and spread. The body is long and the feet are strong. The abdominals are pushing away or lifting up away from the floor as the hands and feet push down. And find your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. We've got one more. Beautiful. Drop down onto your knees. Sit on back into Vajrasana. Take your hands, interlace them, and just wiggle around. And I usually notice when I do measured breath practices, it calms me right down. Let's go the other way. And it inflates my body in a new way too that feels really good. Take your hands, open them, clasp them, bring your forearms together, and slowly go around those wrists. We've got a couple things to do with our wrists today. So we want them to be super awake. Go the other way. Beautiful. Then take them behind you on the mat and just sit on back so you get a little stretch. You don't ever have to get the heel down or the elbows straight. You're just stretching into that forearm. Last breath. Release that. Come on up. We'll call this begging pose. So you make little weep, weep, little arms, and you try to take your own pulse. So you really reach. You reach those fingertips into that wrist crease, like you're trying to feel your pulse there. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze till you feel it. You really want to feel these muscles firing up in the hands and the wrists. Last breath. Beautiful. Release that and then just start to wave and flick and shake and get those wrists all loosey-goosey. Okay, we're going to move right into side plank so that I can teach you a few things that you're going to use later. So we're going to rock forward onto our hands and knees, and we'll turn our right hand out so that it's turned out to like 2 o'clock. You're going to take your right leg back to a straight leg, and then you're going to turn it out so you're standing on the knife edge, the outer edge, the pinky toe side of your right foot. You're going to shrug slightly or push forward so your shoulder is stacked right over your wrist. And you can keep this left leg as a kickstand. You can step it across, and then push down with the foot and the hand and stack the shoulders. And you're reaching to lift those hips a little higher. You're seeing if you can find that squeeze of the inner thighs and see if we can feel the abdominals pulling back. One more breath. We'll step out of that. 3, 2, 1 to plank and transition to the other side. So left hand is at 10 o'clock. And you rock out onto the outer left foot. The right foot can step across like a kickstand. As you push down the hands and feet, you lift the hips and you open the top arm. Squeeze the inner thighs. Pull the abdominals back. Stack those shoulders one over the other. Take your time. Breathe deeply. Find a drishti. Last breath. And come on back to your hands, to your plank. Take a round of breath. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 4 and drop your knees to the floor. Come on down onto your belly carefully and take your hands out in front of you, Danda Pranam. So you're just lying face down on the floor like Superwoman and your forehead is on the mat. And you're just feeling that stretch, maybe in the armpits, maybe in the lats. Couple more breaths. Find your measured breath. One more for 4 counts in and 4 counts out. Beautiful. Bring your hands in, tuck them under, stack them under your forehead, tuck your toes. We're going to do our retraction, our booty retraction. So you're pressing through the strong legs and you're lifting your hips up into the air. One more breath. And gently release. Keep your toes tucked under and come up to Sphinx pose. And then just notice what happens if you keep one leg tucked under and one leg long, and you start to push with that leg that's tucked under, and see if you feel a little more engagement around that lower spine. Just notice that. Match that with belly action and see if you can bring your heart forward. Good, then release that and switch sides, tuck your other toe under and see if you can push with that leg and feel a little more action around the lumbar spine on the other side. See if you can match that with belly action and see if you can press those forearms down to lift your heart forward. Last breath. Beautiful. Release that on down. Bring your hands by your chest. Roll your shoulders, lift up to a baby cobra. And then press down, come up to hands and knees, and back to child's pose. Balasana. Taking your time. You can fidget for the first few moments till you get into a pose that feels good. You can rock a little left and right. Once you get into the pose that feels pretty good, lift up your belly and settle. And find your breath. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Remember how we started with our hands on our ribs so that we could really feel the ribs inflate, front, back, left, and right. Last breath. Beautiful. Come up to hands and knees, tuck your toes, take a cow tilt, and then exhale back to downward facing dog. Measured breath. You can fidget for the first moment or two to get yourself settled and then see if you can find stillness and a drishti. So the drishti, the gaze here, is to be looking down almost between your hands. So you might notice that you're too far back, that you have to press your shoulders a little bit more forward. The abdominal muscles are strong and lifting in. One more measured breath cycle. Inhale to tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees, take frog, like just really go back here. And then inhale to tippy toes and take dog. So we'll continue with that. So inhale tippies, exhale frog. Inhale tippies, exhale dog. Keep going. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. In tippy, X frog. In tippy, waking up those thighs. X frog. One more. Beautiful. Settle for one breath. And then walk yourself forward to the front of the mat. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Just settle here. Hang over those strong, active, awake, enthusiastic legs. Let that breath be full and long to get into those places that are tight. Bring the breath into those contractive spaces to bring in expansion. Last breath. Head is hanging. Drishti is at the shins. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana. Hands come to the hips. Elbows migrate back. Strong legs, strong belly. Looking forward, Drishti forward. Pressing, coming up to standing. Exhale, releasing. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, bend the knees. Left leg back. Straight leg lunge this time. Walk yourself onto that front knee. Press the feet down enough so that you feel the hips lifting a bit. They're not hanging and sagging. You press the hands down and forward on the legs so you bring in some core, some vertical stack. And then release your hands and use your legs to come upright. And then use your legs to lift your heart. And then inhale, fly the arms up overhead. Beautiful. Release that all the way down slowly. 3, 2, 1. Rock it forward and back. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend. Take right leg back. Straight leg lunge. Walk it up. Press the hands down and forward, the feet too, lifting up those hips. Drop the arms down. Use the legs to bring you back to vertical. Use the legs to lift your heart. Sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, down 4, 3, 2, 1. Step back to plank. Once you get your plank, turn your right hand out to 2 o'clock. Come to the knife edge of your right foot. Yogi's choice here. You can step across with that left foot again for a kickstand, or you can try stacking. If you stack, you've got to take the hips back and bring in the core. And then you open the left arm to the sky and stack. And take a moment. Drishti is either straight ahead, super steady, or you can try looking up if that doesn't hurt your neck. One more breath. Stack those shoulders. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, touch down 1, turn to second side. 10 o'clock, outer knife edge of the left foot. Step across if you need to, or stack. Strong legs, hip back, strong abdominal stack. Right arm over, or right shoulder over left shoulder. Drishti straight ahead or up, depending on your ability and comfort level. Last breath. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1 to plank. Drop your knees down. Sit on back. Here's your rest. Hands in your lap. Take a cleansing breath. Inhale, 1. Exhale, 4. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 4. Beautiful. Just take a moment to squeeze and extend your hands. We'll move forward into cow and back into dog. Here we go. Hands plant, toes tuck. Inhale, cow. Exhale, dog.
Find the knife edge of your left foot. So it feels like side plank, but now it's like side plank, dog plank. That makes any sense. See if you can kickstand your right hand. So it's on tippy fingers. See if you can stack your right foot and see if you can push down and lift your hips up really high. You'll get a nice oblique action with the left obliques. And then see if you can open your right hand. Beautiful. See if you can grab your right ankle and find a tree pose. Woo! See if you can open your right hand to the sky. Good. Place that hand down. Come back to dog. This is your resting, so take a moment. We'll get you while you're strong. Where's your drishti and your dog? Beautiful. We turn the right hand out. We come to the knife edge of our right foot, but it's more like a dog plank. So now we're going to stack. This could be enough for you. The left hand is kickstand on the fingers. Stay there if you'd like to. Otherwise, open that left arm to the sky and appreciate that. Or try tree by bringing your left foot to the upper inner right thigh and open. Whoo! Good. Whatever it is that you did, say, great job, me. And then reach your hand back down, drop your foot to the floor, sit on back, Vajrasana. Take a cleansing breath, measured if you can. And exhale. Usually we can do a measured breath. We're used to just gasping for breath after hard work. See if you can keep it measured. One more. I think you'll recover faster if you take these big, deep, beautiful breaths. Exhaling completely. We rock forward to hands and knees. Take our cow tilt. Take our cat tilt, pulling belly in and up, and then inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. This time we transition back to downward facing dog. Strong legs. Bring your feet together. Look at your hands. There's your drishti between your two hands. Inhale, fly your right leg up to the sky and come to tippy toes and press like you're going to do a handstand. So your shoulders are going to go right over your wrists. And then you press on back to dog. Right leg comes down. Take a breath. Inhale, swing your left leg up, come to tippy toes, push yourself forward over your arms. Inhale, exhale, back to dog. Beautiful. Walk your feet forward to the front of the mat, Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling to Ardha 4, 3, 2, 1. Utkatasana 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling up 1, 2, 3, 4, and release your hands. Bring them into prayer. Take a pause. Take those deep breaths and allow yourself to feel the results of your practices thus far. Beautiful. Inhale deeply. Exhale, release. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, left leg back, straight leg lunge. You're going to anchor that back foot so it's square to the back of the mat. Take a moment to push down with your feet to bring your hips up and your core in a little bit. Take your right elbow to your right knee. Inhale for 4, opening left arm to the sky. Just feeling how it feels to transition, to move through practices rather than just to get there. We're going to come up for 4 counts. I want you to first look down at your knee. Make sure it's straight over the second and third toes, and it's reaching in that direction even as your back leg reaches open. You're going to come up for 4 counts. Here we go. Pressing down 1, 2, 3, 4 to warrior 2. Take a breath. Good job. Drishti is over the front fingers. The knee is still migrating over the second and third toe, but the back leg is active and almost trying to pull back. So the two are working to open the hips. Think of yourself as stretching through the inner thighs. Big deep breaths in, big deep breaths out. Big deep breaths in, big deep breaths out. We've got one more, you can do it. On your next in breath, you're gonna push down through that leg and come to a straight leg. As you exhale, you bend again for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4. Keep going just like that. As you come up, please make sure you're never locking out that front leg, but you're keeping the knee micro bent. And you're breathing in as you're coming up, exhaling as you're bending. We've got one more. Inhaling, coming up. This time, turn your feet to the front of the mat or the long edge. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bow forward. Prasarita Padottanasana, hands on the floor or forearms, depending upon your stretch. Outer feet are parallel to the short edges of the mat. The knees are soft, and you're opening up those feet as if you're trying to split the mat apart to get the inner thighs to widen. Can you do your 4 count breath here so you really feel into the pose? Can you keep your gaze steady wherever it is that you're looking? Last 4 counts. Beautiful. Come up halfway like Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees like Utkatasana. Bring your hands to your hips. Pull in your belly, like press your feet down and pull your belly up as you press and come up to standing. Exhale, release. Beautiful. From here, we're just going to turn our left foot out to warrior 2. So you take a moment. This is where you fidget or you get yourself in a position that feels good to you. So the front foot, bisects the arch of the back foot. Go ahead and bend the front knee and bring your elbow to it. Uttita Parshvottanasana. So we're going to look down at that knee and those toes and make sure it's tracking right over the second and third toe. And the back leg is engaged too. It's sort of like a column, like a Roman column. It's really strong and it just pushes down into the earth. The other hand rises for 4 counts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You stack those shoulders and you open those hips. Beautiful. See if you can find a drishti, a gaze that feels right to you so that the neck is in line with the heart, is in line with the belly. One more breath. You're going to look down at the floor. We're going to come up for 4 counts. So make sure that knee is where it needs to be as you press down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful, warrior 2. Looking drishti over the front hand. The knee is tracking and it's reaching in that direction, but the back foot is also reaching. It's like a column. Both legs are like columns. And breathe. So this is a hip opener. So you're trying to use those legs to find their way to open up the insides of the hips. One more breath. Can you make it measured? Beautiful. We're going to come up to straight legs for 4 counts. 4, 3, 2, 1, and bend. 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. 1, 2, 3. 2 more on your own time. Keeping your abdominals strong, never straightening that leg, always keeping it micro bent. This time you straighten it, you keep it straight, you turn the foot forward, bring the hands onto the hips. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, bow forward. Prasarita Padottanasana, knees soften along with you, you hang. Let your weight be evenly distributed, front to back foot, side, left side to right side to left side. Here, we're going to take the hands up behind the back, interlace fingers, drive them to the sky. One more breath, 4 counts in. Beautiful. Release the hands, bring them back to the floor. Bend your right knee and walk over to the right a little bit, stretching through that right hip, and then pushing with that right leg strongly to bring you back to center and back to the other side, bending deeply into that side, and then pushing the earth away. Take your time. 2, 3, 4, and bend. 2, 3, 4, and push. And bend. And push. And bend. And push. And bend. And push. And bend. Here's the last one. Pushing and bending. You're going to keep turning to the right until you're in a lunge. And then from here, you step back to plank. Turning the right hand out, you roll onto the knife edge of your right foot. You can kickstand the left hand, kickstand the left foot, or stack. You can also try tree. So bringing that foot in, pressing down, opening up. One more breath. And release. 2, 3, 4. Try your plank. Second side, yogi's choice. You just do what feels good to you. Knife edge of the left foot. Kickstanding if you need to. Tree posing if you want to. It's your practice. Make it work for you. And release it on down. Back to plank. And then knees drop to the floor. Sit on back. Vajrasana. Take a breath. I said we were going to do hips, but you're probably thinking more that we're doing arm and shoulder work. Here we go into the hip work. Here's what I promised. You're going to rock out onto your right hip. So the right knee faces the very short edge of the mat, all the way up parallel. And you take the other leg back, so now you have a right angle. And you can keep it at that unless you want to try the next one, which is to take the right foot forward. So now you have a real right angle there too. So shin is square to the short edge of the mat. Thigh is square to the long edge of your mat. And then you turn and twist and you adjust the back leg accordingly so you're not hurting yourself. And you take the spine in line with the thigh as much as you can. And you pick up the belly off of the thigh. So you're really working to have that little bit of vertical stacking and support. So I like to push my forearms down and forward slightly here. And then I get a little bit more abdominal action. And you're just getting into that outer right hip there. If you want, you can try walking your left hand a little bit to the left. Or left forearm. It's just like you just take it straight over to the left and see if you get a little more stretch in that outer hip IT band area. You just want to keep the spine coming out from the very center of the tail. So you don't want it to do any kind of snake-like action. You want it to be supported straight through. One more breath. Beautiful. You're going to release that measured breath and you walk yourself up until you bring your legs together again and move into Vajrasana. And just take a moment to close your eyes and notice the different texture, size, shape, color from right to left. I always feel like it's pretty dramatic here. My right side feels big and full and open. My left side still feels a little shrunken. So let's give it some of that yummy yoga magic. So you're going to rock out onto your left hip. So your left knee points to the front of the mat. The left leg comes at a right angle. And then optional, if it doesn't hurt your knee, you bring the left leg forward. So now that's at a right angle too. The shin in line with the front of the mat, the thigh in line with the side of the mat. You walk your hands down until you're on forearms and your spine is extending out towards the knee. And then you press the forearms down and forward like bracing so that the belly draws back. And then you try to rotate your spine a little bit to the left so you get into that outer left hip. And you breathe. And you can adjust accordingly. Don't feel like you have to get too frozen. Like move around until you feel the benefit of the pose, but also the safety of the pose. So you have to make it work for you. And I think you'll feel this in the outer hip and maybe even in the IT band. There's not a lot of sensation in IT band because it's mostly fascia. So we can feel better when muscles are stretching than we can with fascia, when fascia is stretching. So you might not feel so much sensation, but trust me, you're getting a nice stretch and it's opening up for the knee joint too. Just make sure the spine's supported. One more breath. Make it measured. And then go ahead and bring your shins together and rock into Vajrasana. Just take a moment to feel into that shift and change. And okay, while we're there, we're going to do that again. So let's rock out onto the right side. Get that set up in the same way. So you got that first right angle and then optional second right angle. And you can do just what we did before. If that felt really good to you and enough, then do what we did before. If you want to try something else, you'll come on down into your forearms, and then you'll start to stretch your back leg out so it looks like you're going to go into Ekapada Rajakapotasana. So go straight out from the spine, and you can see how that feels. Pushing the forearms down and forward and picking up the belly. And if that feels pretty good to you, you can start to walk to the left and feel how that increases the stretch in the outer right hip. And you can walk the back leg to the right. So you start squaring yourself off. And remember that there's no rule here. Like you just go to where you feel like you're getting enough stretch, and then you stop trying to fidget, and you just breathe your measured long breath into whatever's tight. And you can bring this almost into a traditional pigeon. We'll take one more 4 counts in and 4 counts out. Beautiful. And then you just roll over to the right again, bring your shins together. And I'm hoping that just felt like a really different way and kind of a yummy way to come into pigeon. Sit on down on your heels, Vajrasana. Take a breath. Beautiful. We're going to go second side again. So rocking out onto your outer left hip, left knee to the front edge of the mat. Find your right angle with your back thigh. That feels like enough, stay there. Else you can take the front thigh at a right angle so the shin is parallel to the front side of the mat. Find your first pose, just like we did before. Forearms to the floor, pressing down and forward. Belly lifts back and in. So you're trying to get it off of the thigh. If that feels good and you want more of a challenge, start to stretch your back leg out straight. So it's coming straight out from your body. So your whole body's at an angle. You're not trying to get into traditional pigeon, but you're trying to rotate your spine a bit. So you get that stretch across the belly and outer thigh. If that feels good to you and you're ready for a little bit more, then you start to walk to the right and you start to swing your leg to the left until you kind of square off the body. Remember, you just go as far as you feel like you can go, and you get that stretch. The belly is always coming straight out from the tail. If at any time this hurts your knee, then you've gone too far, or you karate chop that knife edge of the left foot down, and I guarantee you feel it more where it belongs, which is in the outer hip and the IT band. So that you don't take it in the knee joint
ever. We never want to cause any discomfort and pain in our knees. Last breath. And then release that back over to the left and come up onto your shins and sit in Vajrasana. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. We're going to rock forward to hands and knees, tuck toes, and take cow tilt. Inhaling, cat tilt, exhaling, cow tilt, inhaling, cat tilt, exhaling, and then just make your way down onto your forearms and then press those tucked toes are going to press the legs up to dolphin. So you walk forward until your shoulders are right over your elbows and you let your head hang. If you press your forearms down, you'll feel a little rebound lift. And you just breathe there, trying to get the head to hang and the heart to move towards your thighs. One more breath with a push down, inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Knees to the floor, and then step on back. You're just going to make your way on to your belly. And you're going to rest your forehead on your hands. You can rock left and right, do a little fidgeting. And then just lay down onto your belly. From here, you'll take a cleansing breath. And then you're going to bend your right leg. Now, this can be challenging for a lot of us. If that's enough for your thigh and you feel a pull, feel free to stay there. Just remember to lift your sitting bones up a little bit, just like we've done before, and to pull your abdominals in so that you don't feel any pinch in the low back. If that feels good to you, take your right hand, sweep it around, and try to grab your foot and bring the heel to the outside of the right hip without letting the knees get wide. The knees stay together and you just stretch there. You could even reach back with the other hand. So you got 2 hands, forehead on the floor, and you stretch that thigh. If that doesn't feel like you're getting any stretch, then you kick that foot back and you lift. And I think you'll get a stretch in your thigh. Couple more breaths. Find your way. And release. Release your hands underneath your forehead. Release your foot. Rock left and right. Take a cleansing breath and relax. Beautiful. Bend your left knee. Just feel how that feels. Remember, you don't want to shove pubic bone into the floor, but you want to lift it up slightly so you have a lumbar curve. The belly is strong here and extended. And then you can reach the left arm back and grab that foot and try to bring it to the outer left butt cheek without widening the knees. That's easy to do, easier to do if the knees go wide. Less easy to do if the knees stay in. And if you feel a thigh stretch, great. If you want more, you can reach back with both hands. See how that feels. And then you can always kick back too. It's like a half bow pose. Keep breathing. And releasing. Beautiful. Release that foot. Take a cleansing breath. We're going to try both legs this time. So reaching back, finding both tops of the feet. Again, knees stay pretty close together and heels grace the outside of your booty. You can kick your feet back and lift up. Bow pose. Keep the abdominals active, the legs active, and lift up. One last breath. And release. Rest your forehead on your hands. Rock your hips left and right. Just let them go. For the next 15 seconds, rock. Go. Find your breath. Deep in and deep out.
Last breath. And relax. Find stillness. All right, plant your hands by your chest. Look up for baby cobra. Keep coming to tabletop and back to child's pose. Balasana. Take your time. Get into it gently and carefully and slowly, feeling the extension of your spine, the abdominal supporting, the breath moving in and around the pain or discomfort. It's surrounding it rather than going straight to it. All right, coming up to hands and knees, sit in Vajrasana for a second. We're going to try to put some of those things together for our final Friday pose, excuse me, and then I'll give you some nice relaxing things to do to finish up. So just like we did before, you're going to rock out onto your right thigh. So your right knee is straight to the front of the mat. You take your left leg into a right angle. Remember, excuse me, remember that you can always stop at any point along the way to get the stretch that's best for you today. If you're ready, you take this right foot forward. So now you've got another right angle, and there's that knife edge. There's that karate chop. If that feels good and enough for you, remember you can just go out at an angle. Otherwise, we're going to move. Some of us are going to move right into Ekapada Rajakapotasana. So we stretch the back leg out straight, so we're at a diagonal. Take a couple breaths there, or stay if that's as far as you want to go today. If you want to go farther, you walk your forearms to the left and your legs to the right. So that left leg is coming straight out from the left hip. Now here's the fun part. You can stay there. That can be enough for you today, picking up your abdominals and feeling that stretch in the outer hip. Or you can walk yourself up. And that can be enough for you today, making sure that the abdominals are strong and engaged and your back leg is really engaged. Or if you even want to go farther, you bend the back leg, you reach back with the back hand and you bring that foot in. And now I know you're feeling a thigh stretch and you're trying to square off the shoulders, but don't be ashamed to stop anywhere along that route. Either way, promise me not to hang in the hips, but to bring the hips back gently so that your thigh can stretch safely. One more breath. And gently release. Come on back to where we began in Vajrasana. I hope you found your special place where you just were happy with where you were. You didn't have to go to the end. I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to find their happy place. So here we go, second side. So you're sitting over on your left hip. The left knee points straight to the front of the mat. We make our right angle. Yogi's choice. Make a right angle with your front leg and come into your diagonal, lifting your belly off of your thighs and rooting down with forearms, down and forward like bracing. If you want to go on, you take that right leg and you stretch it out at a diagonal as well. And then you just bring the belly onto the spine and you try to rotate the spine a little bit over to the left. You'll feel that wake up that outer thigh and get a good stretch there. If you want to go farther, then you walk your hands to the right and your back leg to the left until you're square. And you take a few moments there to feel into that pose to make sure the back leg is strong, the abdominals are awake. Last breath there. And you can stay there. You could go back to a prior one, or you could walk yourself up. Here, I'm making sure my back leg is strong. I'm keeping my hips migrating back. There's a sense as I root down that they lift up. And then I'm going to kick my back leg up. If I want to go farther, reach back with my right hand, bring it into the outer thigh. And then I just wait. Wait for the stretch to happen. Find the drishti, find that breath. Inhaling for 4. Exhaling for 4. Inhaling for 4. Exhaling for 4. Beautiful. And release. Good job, you guys. Bring that knee around. We're going to come into Upavishta Konasana. So I highly recommend either a block or a blanket. I prefer a blanket on most days, but you can also be on a block. So you have your little pillow fold and you're just going to sit up on the very edge of it. And you're taking your legs out. What's really nice about being on a blanket is then you have access to 2 blocks. So if you need to, if you're a knee locker like I am, then you can place these blocks right underneath your thighs so they support the knees from locking down. And then you just scoot those sitting bones up onto that blanket. And I'm just going to bring the sitting bones back and apart. And then you just take a breath and you could just be here and you'll receive a benefit. So because we have the blankets, or because I have the blankets and the blocks are lifting up. Remember the seesaw principle? As the knees come up, the thigh bones go down. Remember, that's a place of rest and digest. When the body feels that, that's the message it gives you, that you can pause and stay and you can feel the patience of the practice over time. My feet are straight up to the sky. My second and third toes are pointing straight up. I'm going to turn over my left leg. So my left hand comes to the outside, my right hand to the center. And I'm going to place my awareness on my right hip because it likes to get light here. And I want to let it root down again. I want to release it down into the earth. And as I do that, it almost makes me feel like I could just kind of gently move the whole spine back a bit. And that feels good. And you just breathe into that. And you can always stay where it feels really good and just feel that measured breath. Inhaling for 4. Exhaling for 4. You might notice, excuse me, that the belly can move slightly, or the spine can move slightly towards the right, like it's spinning to the right. Good. If you want to go farther, you can. If this is enough for you, stay here. Just look for one moment at your back foot, making sure it's still pointed straight up, and your front foot, and then you just lean over that front leg. And I'm not trying to round. I'm just trying to lengthen my spine forward over that front leg. If I was a little more flexible, which I am, I can reach for the pinky toe side of my foot. But sometimes when I do that, my right hip pops up. So I have to pull it back and I'll get a really nice stretch through the psoas and the QL. And I'm trying to keep that belly spread wide and apart, and breathe. The drishti can be at the big toe. One more breath. Inhale to come up. So when I say one more breath, I want you to do that 4 counts in and 4 counts out. Good. Just take a moment in the center and notice the different texture of the left body versus the right. I think you'll notice it's pretty different. Okay, here we go, second side. So the feet are straight up. I'm turning, so my right hand is on the outside, my left hand is on the inside, and I just take a moment here to notice what's happening with my left sitting bone. It likes to pop up, so I'm going to release it back down. And I just breathe, and maybe I'll notice that it feels good to just slightly pull the spine back. It's almost like a little lean on an easy chair. And as I breathe here, I might notice that the spine starts to twist a little bit to the left. I'm going to look back just to check at my left foot, make sure that it's nice and pointed straight up, and my right foot, and then keeping my left sitting bone grounded, I can reach optionally for the pinky toe side of the foot. But I'm going to have to back off a little bit because that left sitting bone likes to come up. And the spine, I'm pulling the belly in and up to keep it off the thighs, and I'm slightly spinning it towards the left. And I'm breathing, of course, that beautiful measured breath. Last one. Beautiful. Come back to center. Come back to center. Pause there and feel the difference, or maybe more equanimity now in the body. And you're just going to walk your hands forward. And again, the sitting bones, they stay fairly rooted. But if you can, think of an inner thigh squeeze and see what that does to take you a little farther forward. Think about that bracing action that we've done. So the forearms press, or the hands, either one, press down and forward to bring the belly onto the spine. The drishti is forward, maybe depending on how far you're leaning. The drishti is such that the back of the neck isn't crunched. The chest and collarbones are open. And then you just keep going as your breath takes you. You just lean forward a little bit more. Maybe you don't. Either way, it's the action of the legs that are going to help you. It's that sense of squeezing around the midline and opening up that way. A couple more breaths. And then very slowly, very gently, come on up. I'm going to take my hands underneath my knees and lift them up one at a time. Bring them up. I'm going to come off of my little blanket and I'm going to take Omega. So that's a really nice, fairly relaxing hip stretch. I'm going to actually do it from the side so you can see how far my feet are away from my booty. So it's not close in like Baddha Konasana where the feet are really close to your pelvis. This they're far away and I can use my blocks here if I want a little knee or thigh support. And then now I can just round. It's okay here. Just to round, I could make a fist stack. I could bring that blanket back in, lay it on my ankles there and have a stack. And I'm just going to be here for some measured breath practice. And I want you to send the breath into wherever it's tight to surround it. So we inhale for 4. And we exhale for 4. Keep going. Let your drishti, let your gaze move inwardly now. So it's actually as if you could pull that gaze in to look inside. And you can take that gaze wherever you'd like. You could take it into your heart space and think about and ponder your compassionate nature. Or you could bring it into your belly, back, hip space and think about your water nature, your ability to feel your feelings. Just try to keep that measured cadence going of the 4 counts in and the 4 counts out. Notice the stillness that grows with each successive breath. One more breath. Beautiful. Come up very slowly. When we're in poses that long, we really want to come out slowly. You're going to bring your knees up, take your blocks off to the side. If you have a blanket, why don't you make a burrito roll for me, for you. You're going to place it down on your mat, and you're going to sit down on that with the sacral edge of your seat. So that means you're not on your sitting bones, but you're above them. And then lay back. So you feel supported here. A little supported back bend. And you just lay down. My feet are on the floor. My knees are up in the air, and it feels good. Like it should be in a place that feels good. And I'm just going to breathe. Now I'm going to start to move my energy towards my tailbone so that I just start to rock a little bit and bring my hips almost to the floor. So the burrito roll now becomes a little opportunity for upper or lower spinal lift. So little lumbar spine lift. And you can take this just as far as you want to. So if it doesn't feel good for your sitting bones all the way to be on the floor, just stop part way. Let the abdominals support the opening of the lumbar spine. And you let those hips drape onto the far side of the roll. And it's like just encouraging the back bend there. Remember that with all back bends, the abdominals should be engaged. And when I say abdominals, remember what I mean? I mean the whole abdominal apple core line. Couple more breaths. All right. And then you're going to roll back onto your roll so that it's supportive of your sacrum again. Take your legs up in the air. Take your hands up in the air. Do ankle and wrist circles. We'll do a little yummy goodie for our lymphatic system. We'll take the distal ends of our body, the fingers and the toes, and encourage lymphatic fluid release so that they drop back down to the heart where the heart filters it and brings in back new white blood cells ready to do their immunity support. Go the other way. Beautiful. And then just let the knees drop into the chest. You'll hug here, and that'll make your back hammock a little down, and you'll get the opposite curl. You can measure your breath. Inhale gently. Bring your feet back to the floor. You'll lift up your hips off the roll and tuck the roll down underneath your feet. The feet are going to come to prayer. Might have to adjust yourself a little farther away from the roll. Feet come into prayer and knees fall out to the side. Now, if this is too much for your hips feel this or your inner thighs feel it, hopefully your blocks are close by and you can place them underneath your knees for a little support. If they feel okay, you're just opening up the inner thighs there. I'll just be here for another breath or two. You can find the measured breath, especially if you're feeling a little bit of challenge. Then you bring that breath in. Last measured breath.
Beautiful. Release your feet from the burrito roll. Scoot back again until your knees are right over that burrito roll and rest back for Shavasana. Take one of your blocks and place it on your belly. Have your hands out like an A, I guess, or an upside down V. And for the next few moments, I don't want you to try to lift up the block with your breath. I just want you to watch it. You're not trying to change the way you're breathing now. You're letting your breath come into yourself as its own. Keep releasing any tension that's in the body. Let it slowly flow out from the center of you through your limbs. Enjoy the resting of your body on the earth. Really let it go. Let yourself just feel the support there. I'm hoping and guessing that you feel a deep sense of arriving and patience to be here in this moment. After practicing our transitions and stillness and breath and drishti, you're going to begin to deepen your breath now. Patiently awaiting the breath coming in and out of your lungs. As you're ready, you can start to wiggle and stretch. Eventually, you're going to roll to your right side. And pause there to remember the intention that you set. And as you're ready, looking down at the floor, plant two hands, find your way up to a comfortable seat with hands in prayer, and we'll meet there. Noticing as you move that you're still in your yoga. We're still being mindful of our transitions. We're feeling into the body-mind. We're developing those deep kinesthetic feelers that get to know ourselves on a whole new different level. And with our hands in prayer, we enter into the most sacred of all practices, the practice of gratitude. where we give thanks that we have the ability to come to this practice. What a blessing. And we give thanks that we have this space and this time in our lives to do so as well. We give thanks that we have people to move with, teachers to learn from. By the way, I include you in that category. We are all teachers to ourselves and one another. Finding that inner guru is one of the best reasons to do yoga and meditation. We take a moment to share some of the blessing we gained out into space and time. And we seal that with a breath and an om together. Inhaling. Namaste. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Thanks. Namaste.